A UFO encounter in Maine from January the 13th, 2017. The witness states that this event took place on Friday, January the 13th of 2017, beginning at approximately 11:19 p.m. that a group of friends all got together to go to Walmart. While en route, they all saw a light in the sky and began talking about a previous UFO encounter. As they were talking about that sighting, it was like it heard them talking about a UFO, because this triangular silhouette went from being far away, like 500 to 700 feet away, to being within 200 feet off the road. It moved in a swooping motion, which was the only way the witness could describe it. It got their hearts pumping with excitement, but at the same time it terrified them. The witness said that it was flat with the horizon at this time, when the object dipped up one side 20 to 30 degrees. Then it swooped in even closer. The witness said the only way to describe it was that it was like a feather or a leaf falling to the ground, just swooping down side to side. Now, after the UFO swooped down closer to the car, everyone started to have a moment of awe, but got panicky at the same time. This is when the witness says they slowed the car down and pulled over on the side of the road. It was just the four of us at this time watching this object, because it was 11 at night and there were no traffic out on the road. They turned the radio off and rolled down the windows, and it was dead quiet. It seemed to be quiet to be quiet. Guess it just seemed that way, but they couldn't hear a thing. While they all were looking at this black triangle that had glowing, bright red lights on both ends, the object also had a center light that glowed white. The witness also said that the object was dark against the clear night sky, and that the object had to be at least 40 to 60 feet across. So that's the end of this report. On July the 24th, 1948, something occurred in the skies over southwest Alabama. It was 2:45 a.m. when pilot Clarence S. Childs and co-pilot John B. Whited were flying their Eastern Airlines DC-3, a twin-engine propeller plane at 5,000 feet en route from Houston to Atlanta, while carrying 20 passengers on board. It was just a routine domestic flight, one of many in the skies that night. All but one of the passengers were asleep, it's reported. Everything was going the way it should till it wasn't anymore. Now, what the two pilots and the one passenger saw in the skies next was going to shock and stun them. What they saw about 20 miles southwest of Montgomery, Alabama, did more than just shock them. It was reportedly a catalyst for a highly classified Air Force document, suggesting that some unidentified flying objects were indeed spaceships from other worlds, becoming a tipping point in the history of UFOs. About a week after the sighting, Childs described what he had seen in an official statement. He said that it was clear to him that it had no wings, that he thought that it was powered by a jet or some other type of power, that it was shooting flames out of the rear, and that there were 2 rows of windows which indicated to him that it had an upper and lower deck, and that a very bright light was glowing out from them. He says that underneath the ship was glowing blue. He estimated that he saw the craft for about 10 seconds before it disappeared into the clouds. Now, when Whited offered a similar description in his official statement, he said that the object was cigar-shaped and was about 100 feet in length, saying that the circumference of the craft was about 3 times that of a B-29's fuselage, while it had 2 rows of windows. The windows were large and seemed to be square, stating that they were white with lights, maybe due to some kind of combustion. He says that he asked the captain, "What was that thing?" and that the captain said that he didn't know what it was. The passenger, who was awake at the time, Clarence McKelvey of Columbus, Ohio, corroborated the pilot's stories. He said that a bright object had streaked past his window, but other than that, he couldn't describe it. Now, both pilots also made sketches of what they saw. Now, this first picture here is of Captain Chill's drawing. You can see here that it has been unclassified and that the photo came out of the Project Blue Book's archive. Now, this photo is of co-pilot's Whited sketch, which has also been declassified as well, which I think they're pretty close to each other, since they only seen this object for about 10 seconds. Now, on July the 25th, the Atlanta Constitution headlines read, "Atlanta pilots reported wingless sky monster." Now, in that article, Captain Chills describes what could have been a close miss with the other craft. He said he veered left, and that the object veered left as well, and that it passed them about 700 feet off to the right, and about 700 feet above them. As the object seemed to want to avoid them, it pulled up with a tremendous burst of flame out of its rear and zoomed up into the clouds. These pilots weren't the only ones baffled by what they had seen. William M. Allen, the president of Boeing Aircraft at the time, told the United Press that he was pretty sure it wasn't one of our planes, adding that he knows of nothing being built in the United States that comes close to their description. Now, General George C. Kenney, the Chief of Strategic Air Command at the time, which was also responsible for most of our nuclear strike force during the Cold War with Russia, told the Associated Press that the Army hasn't anything like that, but that he wished that they did. Now, there has been many reported UFO sightings before this one, but the Air Force investigators took this one more seriously than the others, mainly because both men were highly regarded pilots who had served in the Air Force during World War II, and that McClellan was a solid citizen who had also served in the Air Force. The pilots had also gotten a really close look at the object and was able to describe it in good detail. For all these reasons, the Chills-Whited encounter, as it has become known as, reportedly caused the Air Technical Intelligence Center to draw up a top-secret document with the title, "Estimates of the Situation." Now, this document made its way up the command chain, all the way up to General Holt S. Vandenberg. Now, General Vandenberg didn't buy into the interplanetary vehicles, Rupert wrote. That a group from ATIC went to the Pentagon to bolster their positions, but they had no luck. The Chief of Staff couldn't be convinced. Rupert continued, but the estimate died a quick death some months later. Soon after, it was declassified. One reason for General Vandenberg's skepticism apparently was that another faction within the Air Force had a competing UFO theory. The theory was that the UFOs weren't interplanetary at all, but the handiwork of America's Cold War nemesis, the Soviet Union, in which inspired another top-secret report dated December 1948, which the Air Force was suggesting a variety of reasons the Soviets might be behind such a sham, including photographic reconnaissance and testing of U.S. air defenses and undermining U.S. and European allies' confidence in the atom bomb. The Soviets wouldn't have their own atom bomb until late August of 1949. While adding to the mystery, the sighting occurred outside of Montgomery, downstate from Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, where they were a collection of rocket scientists, many of which were former Nazis that were quietly brought to the U.S. to help win the Cold War space race, as they were working on top-secret rocketry experiments under the guidance of rocket designer Wernher von Braun. So what did you think of this story? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. That's it for this one. I hope you liked it, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. So till next time, stay safe and have a great week. And thanks for watching those endless mysteries.